Okay, hopefully we're live. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a pleasant day. So today I'm going to discuss with you why you should embrace data innovation in the retail sector. So before I jump in, a little bit about myself. My name is Godwin. I am the Principal Cloud Evangelist at Cloud Direct. I do not work in sales, but I have built it and broke it in every conceivable cloud. And my job is to share my knowledge with colleagues, customers and prospects alike to help them accelerate their cloud journey. I also act as a technical voice for the customer, so I interface with product and delivery and sales and marketing to make sure that your voice is heard. I am extremely active on LinkedIn, and you'll see, in fact, I have the next sort of 10 days worth of posts already queued up around my favorite subject is AI. And one of the reasons I'm really excited for this event is AI runs on fuel, and that fuel is data. And if you can get your data right, then there's some amazing things that you can go and do for your business. So if you want to reach out to me, feel free to quickly screen grab, but if you want copies of these slides, they will be available, and I will be uploading this to our YouTube channel afterwards, so you can go and capture it there. So let's dive in. So data, there's a lot of it. We've got a whole bunch of data centers in the UK, and we are creating phenomenal amounts of data globally, which is about 120 zettabytes each year. Now, that, as will be of no surprise to any of you, has been going up and up and up over the years to bring us to the forecast is to carry on that trend and data to get bigger and bigger. That is both a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. Then there's data velocity. We are dealing, and retail specifically, the pace at which data is hitting our business is accelerating. Whether it be, point of sale data, tracking customers' behavior, social media, supply chain, customer interactions. This actually was a much longer list. We had to cut it down. There is a huge amount of data, and it's coming at us very, very quickly. Every user on the planet generates a huge amount of data just by existing, whether it be tax or health or shopping. There's just data that exists that grows as a result of our existence, and that rate of growth and speed of growth is accelerating. As you can see there, 1.7 megabytes every second. And then the other thing about data is the variety of data. So every organization will have semi-structured data. Examples of that might be email is a semi-structured data. For those that are more data orientated on the core, there are XML and JSON files that are semi-structured data. There's a hell of a lot of unstructured data in terms of file formats that you might have in your file server, documents, videos, PDFs and the like. And then, of course, there's the structured data that you would find in a traditional database, or indeed, as with AI, non-traditional databases like vector databases, but that's a different subject. So what? Why should I care? Well, the reason you should care is all those, the velocity, the volume, and the variety of data presents an opportunity. Yes, it's a challenge, but when you've got that depth of data, the value of that data is intense. We can see that people are starting to appreciate the value of their data. If we look at Twitter, for example, Twitter are now charging to use their API. Reddit are now charging to use their API. Organizations are actually seeing the value of their data. That value could be, in their cases, financial value where they're looking to monetize it. But you as organizations within the retail space can use your data to gain a competitive advantage, to increase your operational efficiency, to gain insights into data, well, the list goes on. So the reason you can change are listed on the screen. There are profound changes available, and I'm going to walk you through how you might do that. So the first challenge, this is I actually quite like this. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of a lot of surveys and statistics, but there's a few that I rate higher than others, and I particularly like this one because this was 640 organisations that were polled around their biggest challenges they experienced with data. 44%, the largest category, was that their quality of their data was not sufficient, or they didn't know how to gain insights from that data, or they didn't know how to act on those insights once they have that data, and they didn't know what questions to ask of their data. The good news is there is an answer to all of those challenges through the tools that are available within the cloud, specifically Azure and Microsoft's cloud. So different organizations have different imperatives when it comes to their data. So retail can leverage their data to gain a competitive advantage. They may want to start adopting omni-channel retailing, where they're looking to have different vectors into their organization to generate revenue, online, in-store, mobile, etc. Sustainability is also rising up the agenda. Anecdotally, I've been in this game too long. Back in the sort of noughties, sustainability and the green agenda used to be every sort of local government used to be performing part of their ITO. Then 2008 happened and it kind of fell off the agenda. But it's rising back up the agenda now, and it's quite important for organisations to be able to articulate to their customer base what their sustainability goals, objectives, and how they are progressing against that. There is in travel and tourism, there's demand forecasting, an organisation, a sector that's been under specific challenges for obvious reasons over a number of years, but also they want to retain that data and they want to gain more insights into the market. Hospitality need to be able to be dynamic with their pricing, and we see that in a lot of the top end, or things like Booking.com, Agoda, and places like that have that dynamic pricing, but it's not across the breadth of the industry. They want to be able to take that feedback and turn that feedback into actionable insights. And they want to be able to demonstrate and have compliance. So underpinning all of that is data. So if you're going to exploit your data, you want to start off with a data strategy. You want to understand what is it you want to do with your data, and that can be a difficult question to answer. Make more money probably is the easy one, but once you understand what your mission is, what your goals are of your data, you start breaking that into strategic objectives. You want to understand how they will support your business goals. So those are more sort of subjective, softer metrics that you would use, but massively critical. Then you'll establish the rules and the procedures and what data sets are most important to you, and you'll work out how you're going to manage that and assess it and make sure that the data is of sufficient quality. And then once you have all that, sort of step 8 on the left, then you can start putting that data to work. You can start using analytics. You can ensure that that you have the right culture in place and security and privacy models in place, and then you can start scoring your data and the changeability of that data, and all of that combined is effectively a rather long, in terms of me describing it, data strategy. You don't necessarily need to do all the steps. It may be that your data quality is of sufficient quality, and it may be that you've already got your governance in place. Would that governance change if the my pet fascination at the moment is AI? I'm constantly building AI solutions. I've built 17 in the last month, just experimenting and playing around with stuff. In fact, you will see a bit of my handiwork in a moment. And it's so some of the ways you're going to use that data may change those governance models, because your policies that you may have had in place previously, if you're going to start looking at using AI to do activities, you may need to go and update some of those so those governance and related policies. So that's all well and good, Leon. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How might we go and exploit our data? So let's work out, everybody is going to have something on this bottom line, and some of you will have some of the foundational elements in place, some of you will not. Few of you will have the enhancements in place, but ideally all of you will have defined a strategic goal for your data. So let me walk you through a roadmap of how you might exploit and develop your data strategy into meaningful actions and outcomes. So if you're assuming this is a retail webinar, assuming you are a retail audience that's listening in, you have customer data that's stored somewhere. Could be on a USB stick, but it involves some kind of storage, hopefully not a USB stick. But ideally what you're going to do is you're going to manage that data. You're going to be able to ingest that data from wherever it comes, and you'll provide some kind of ingestion and management technology over that data. That's kind of foundational stuff that everyone, hopefully, that's listening in should be doing already today. If they're not, there are tools out there that can assist, and some really, really cool tools that have just come out recently that can definitely assist in that space. But you want to deliver more value. So let's go and add on an enhancement. Let's go and layer on natural language processing for your data. So you can start naturally just typing questions and queries into a window, and an AI is then going to go and explore your data and come up with some answers for that. That's really good and powerful. And one of the things it's really good at, I love this step, because what it does is it gets the management team on really, really quickly, and it really opens up the the purses, to be honest, in terms of, you know, you and this audience, you want to go and achieve a certain set of outcomes. You want to improve the business, you want to improve revenue. You can deliver something really cheaply. This isn't an expensive step by any stretch of the imagination. You can go, I mean, I've done this like 3 times this week with my own data. Integrated a natural language processing so it can read and understand your data. But the understanding of your data is limited in this context because we're only providing customer data. So why not add a bit more on? Now, again, if you're in retail, you probably have finance data, and you've probably got sales data. So now you've got multiple data sources that you can go and chat to through a single interface. That can be kind of useful. But more importantly, what you're actually doing is you have the ability to have a 360-degree view of your customer. Who are my customers? What sales are they making? And what revenue and profits is that bringing in? And you can actually just chat with that and get those kind of insights. But that's great. Let's move it forward. Now we've got that data and we've got things kind of unified, and we're able to start asking questions of our data, or even asking it questions saying, I don't understand what questions I need to ask of my data. Can you help? NLP can help with that. But also now the modern analytics tools, they actually come infused with a whole load of insights into your data baked in. So you don't have to say, craft me insights. It will turn around and say, oh, I can see all your data. By the way, did you know X, Y, and Z? So this can become really powerful. Now, some of you on the call will have some kind of analytics capability in play. Some of you will not. I will talk and I'll cover off some of those in a moment of how you might be able to do that. But having had that analytics, having had that 360-degree view of your data, now all of a sudden you've got an understanding of the relationship between profitability, sales, products and customers. So now you've actually can start targeting more accurately specific user communities that might procure your products or services. When you have that, you can actually start getting more detailed forecasting and always start getting a bit more nuanced and a little bit more value for the business. Getting more accurate forecasting is incredibly valuable to a lot of organizations, especially when it comes to those who have a lot of investment tied up in stock. Then when you have that, if we think of this as kind of your different tiers of storage. For example, you might consider your basic collection your bronze tier or your copper tier, and as you move up and you've done analytics and you're storing that analytics outcome into maybe your silver tier, maybe then you'll run machine learning models and you're actually trying to do the base building blocks of building artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is the application of knowledge. The gaining of that knowledge is about machine learning. So if I, for example, was to spend this call teaching you the 10 times table, that's great. But then you leave this call and someone comes up to you and says, what's 11 times 11? I didn't teach you that, but what you learned was multiplication. So you're effectively able, you are presented with new information. So the learning is just how you train your models, train your data to do something clever. The application of that is artificial intelligence. The application of it in a scenario that it's not familiar with. So that gives you the AI insights. And now we're starting to really elevate our company. We're getting insights that we've never seen before. We're getting forecasts of what we want to do. We're being told what audiences we want to do. And at any point, we can just go and chat with our data. This is becoming really, really powerful. And actually, if I thought about it, really, I should have really put an arrow between that chat interface and the analytics and the machine learning, because why not? Chat with any data source, that's the goal. And then when you have all that, you're starting to understand the lifetime value of a customer that you've not even met yet. And then you can turn around and take some of that and visualize that data. So it's compelling, it's easy to understand, because the goal is, data might be the fuel for AI, but the way it has to be understandable, it needs to not be data, it needs to be information. And visualization is a great way of transforming data into information. And then when you have all that, potentially you can create smart applications that are telling your staff what to do, who to speak to, what the lifetime value of a new customer or a new contract that you've just signed up might be. So this is just an example in the sort of retail space of how you might do it. There are 1,000 examples. This is just one. So let's try to bring that to life a little bit. Now, this is a little bit dumbed down, just because the amount of retailers, the amount of screen retail space I've got available. But let's say you had a website, an e-commerce site, and you sold widgets. You would, when an order is placed, you probably have some kind of data repository that stores that transactional data. And maybe today, some of you may be already linking that into some kind of financial insight upon placement of that order, so management can go and see what's going on in that space. Some of you may not. Fewer of you would probably integrate that order directly with inventory management, but some of you will. But probably none of you actually necessarily integrate that with, for example, your marketing systems. So what you can do is, when you start mixing multiple data sets, you can then feed that into a machine learning model. Remember, machine learning, AI, its engine runs on fuel, and that fuel is data. So connecting your data is key to being able to exploit it, and not looking at data as silos. Then you might add in other data, for example, your support tickets, and then the machine learning model gets underway. And if you know me, I do like my animations. You get the machine learning is finding out all sorts of things, and this real-time information. In this example, it doesn't have to be real-time, but in this example, it's getting lots of telemetry going in, and it discovers that Leon, who works in marketing, did a campaign. And it was so successful, it drove loads of traffic to their website, where loads of orders were placed. But those orders overwhelmed the amount of stock that was available. Consequently, 50% of the people that placed orders got their order fulfilled as promised within 24 hours, whereas the remaining 50% didn't, because the inventory and warehouse had to go back to the supply chain to go and add more stock. This consequently resulted in loads of support calls coming in. all of a sudden Leon's activity are negatively impacting the service desk and actually costing the business money. What machine learning does is it knows what's going on with campaigns, and it turns around and says, actually, I need to go and increase my stock levels for these particular items because I believe this campaign is going to generate an extra 7% increase in sales. Whereas at times when campaigns aren't going on, equally, it will be able to predict demand levels and to go and free up, do not place orders for your stock, and allow your inventory to be freed up so you are more liquid as an organization. These are a fairly noddy example, but hopefully it brings to life how there are relationships between data. When I do talks to the finance industry, one of the examples I give is back in the day, you would have systems that would relate to quotes. I want a quote for car insurance. And then there would be systems for claims. I've crashed my car, I'm insured with you. And then some bright spark decides, why don't I see if there's any relationships between these two data? And what they discovered was that when someone gets a quote and says, I will take that quote immediately, they are statistically far more likely to go and put a claim for an accident within the first week of that claim being placed, because they were uninsured when they had the accident and they're taking out the insurance and lying about when the accident took place so they can get someone else to go and pay for it. So what this machine learning and analytics model was able to do was not necessarily detect the fraud itself, but be able to detect the risk of fraud and then build in contingency. Likewise, it was also able to identify those people who asked for quotes early and said, I will take it out in X number of months. Those quotes were also subject to greater risk. A lot of people, there are lots of global and macroeconomic factors that take place. I don't like the look of those people who seem to be getting quite ill in Wuhan, those tanks getting a bit close to Ukraine. These have a knock-on effect to the world economy. So what this machine learning model was doing was saying, go and add an additional premium to mitigate that risks when the quote is too far out or the quote to taking up the policy is too short. Just so you know, if ever you take out car insurance or any type of insurance really, 29 days is the best time to go and get a quote, because that's the time that there is no additional premium being added to the premium for your insurance. So this is something that helps mitigate risk and financial loss in that sector. So we can turn around and start pulling data in, and the technologies that can go and help with this. You can have a data lake. Data lake is basically a great big skip that you can throw anything in it. You can put videos, you can put files, you can put databases, you can put whatever you want in it. It will take whatever. And the idea is you want to connect to that, and your data may be in different locations. You might have some in Salesforce, and you might have some on-prem, and some maybe in AWS. But you need to be able to connect to that data. Sometimes you're just querying the data. Sometimes you're ingesting that data. But once you have that data, it's like, oh, hang on, some of that data is from our American counterparts, and that date format is different. Oh, hang on, there's a whole load of email information or personal identifier information. I don't want that in there. Let's go and remove that. And you will monkey with your data in some way, and that was transforming your data. And then you would parse that through some analytics across multiple data sources. And then you might start saying, right, well, that's great. I want to then start introducing AI. So I need to go and train a model to go and understand my data. Little tip for you here. In my experience, when it comes to machine learning, less is more. If you can just turn around and say, here's all my data I've got across my whole estate, what you'll find is when you come to test your AI or machine learning model, you'll find that its accuracy may not be as high than if you were actually a little bit more selective with the data types that you included. So often less is more. If you have missing data, that's a different problem. But if you overwhelm it with irrelevant data, sometimes that can have suboptimal outcomes. And then you might want to go and visualize your data. So Power BI is ridiculously powerful, and the new features that are coming out are enormous. And then, of course, you're going to want to make sure that everything applies to all the policies that you've defined. You want to monitor, make sure that your data is not being lost, stolen, isn't compliant with existing policies, that it has removed information that ought not be there. I do a silly little thing with AI where I upload a load of data to an AI and it knows a whole load of stuff, and it's like this massive expert. But accidentally, I also included my salary, and so AI was able to answer questions to strangers about my salary. It's not real; it's just a demo. But the point is actually making sure the data is relevant and appropriate is significant, and monitoring that and continually monitoring that is key. So effectively, a lot of what I've described is available within Microsoft Fabric. Now, I'm a particular fan of Fabric because, I mean, honestly, it's made a lot of my stuff that, I don't do production stuff. I haven't done that for years, but I do get to play around an awful lot with different technologies and model different scenarios and what have you. And all these tools that are available and more sit under the banner of Microsoft Fabric, which is like this single tool that can grab data, ingest data, store data, analyze data, and it can then run. In fact, I think I've got a post dropping soon on LinkedIn where I go into a bit more detail on Fabric and how it accelerates your AI journey. So if you want to follow me, feel free to. But having these kind of all-in-one tool that effectively takes you to, do you know what, I want to get more value out of my data, and maybe my end state is artificial intelligence. Well, but directly between those 2 points, Fabric covers all of that journey up to the point. So you can create a machine learning model, and there's a whole bunch of other tools that can then turn that into applications and what have you. But Fabric itself is saying, I'll get your data, I'll analyze your data, I'll let you monkey around your data, I'll provide loads of insights into your data that you didn't know. And Power BI has some amazing capabilities on that. And in fact, being a nerd with AI, I decided to train an AI to sound like me. In a moment, I'm just going to sit back and show a little video of me describing the benefits and how you would use AI in conjunction with Power BI. So I'll just play that and let you listen in. I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes.
Let's take a look at how Copilot and Power BI is empowering the retail sector to quickly find and share insights. For example, say I'm a sales analyst for a hotel and resorts company. Now, with Copilot and Power BI, I can simply describe the report I want to build and get insights in seconds. Maybe we need a new report to help us understand the profile of our customers, to gain insights into what is driving return visits to our properties. I just describe what I need, and Copilot will automatically analyze my data and create a new report based on my needs. Immediately, Copilot created a new Power BI report that is fully interactive, and I can start slicing and dicing my data to explore deeper. Copilot added the charts and slices I requested, but also conveniently gives me options to adjust the output to get just what I'm looking for. For example, let's switch to Ask for Metrics and Trends, and a slightly different layout. Automatically, Copilot updates the report. Let's go ahead and keep this report page. But it goes much further. I can also ask analysis questions such as, what are the main drivers for repeat customer visits? Copilot responds by adding a new page to my report and uses Power BI's built-in advanced analysis capabilities for finding key influences for variables in my data. Right away, I can see that customers who purchase spa visits are the most likely to be repeat visitors, followed by those who rented sports equipment. I can easily explore Power BI's key influencer visual further to learn more. I can even automatically see the most significant segments in my data just by clicking. Now let's go back to the first page and finish up our new report. I'm going to ask a Copilot to make it look like our existing sales dashboard. Copilot automatically finds and references the dashboard to adjust my report with formatting and layout to match. Best of all, I can still interact directly with the Power BI report Copilot has created. So for example, if I wanted to manually change this line chart to add the reason customers were visiting, it's easy to deal with just a few clicks. Let's also change the line chart to a ribbon chart to make the data really stand out. Finally, to make the report even easier for my team to understand, I'm going to ask Copilot to add a rich text description of my data right inside the report. This narrative summary is fully dynamic, and not only does Copilot highlight interesting insights from my data, but it provides citations from where in the report the data was taken. This summary will update every time the data is refreshed or people filter the report with new insights based on the data. And just like that, in seconds, I've created a report that would have taken hours or days to do manually. Copilot, built on top of Azure OpenAI, is truly revolutionary for how the retail sector can become empowered, find and share insights.
So hopefully you can see there that there's a couple of examples. If you think about mapping everything I just said back to that, initially I talked in an example about chatting with data. Now, at the end of that journey, when you have materially created and cleansed your data and got it to the appropriate quality and you've run your analytics against it, at the end of the journey, not only are you chatting with your data, but you're chatting with an AI that can visualize that data into information. I mean, that's incredibly compelling. But it all starts with putting that data journey together. You start off with a strategy. You pull together your data, you identify your data types, pull them in, transform your data, analyze your data, create machine learning models. That's an optional step if you want to go down the create AI tools route, or if not, you can just analyze your data and then you can visualize your data with products like PowerBi, where you can create reports that will make you look awesome and amazing with actually very little effort whatsoever. So I would like you to take away from this meeting the concept that it's not about data silos. It's about looking at your data holistically and within your organization and treating it as your pool of intelligence. So it could be operational data, customer data, product data, employee data. If you connect those data sources, refine them so the most relevant data that aligns the outcomes you're looking for is available, you can then start getting real meaningful intelligence out of that data. Now, the journey to that can sound intimidating. It's actually not as hard as you think. I've completed this journey in about 4 hours with a Mickey Mouse data set that I got from My World in Data. It's like a website that you can go to with large public data repositories. And there's loads of cool YouTube videos that actually teach you how to take that data with Microsoft Fabric and end up with this cool kind of Power BI. And in a month, just over a month, Copilot for Power BI will be on general availability, and you guys can start using that. So historically, we thought about the movement to the cloud from, say, on-premise to the cloud as being a server migration, but really that server is just data. So really it's a data migration. And then what you might want to do is modernize that data in terms of storing in appropriate mediums, cleansing that data, and being able to introduce tools to help and govern and manage that data effectively. And then you might want to go and introduce those advanced analytics, and maybe you want to go and use those AI tools. So everything I said about the Copilot for BI, it's also true for Fabric. There is a Copilot for Fabric, or there will be shortly. And then ultimately, those of you that wish to go down that, take it to the next step, can take the strategic step of creating AI specific software. And again, it's much easier than you think. I built an AI model. I think I timed myself. I think you can actually find it on my YouTube video, on my LinkedIn channel. I think it was something like 17 minutes or something from not even being logged in to Azure, finding some data, uploading it, feeding it into a tool, turning it into a model, and publishing it as an application, all very, very quickly. Now, obviously, I'm dealing with smaller data sets and I'm not cleaning the data, but you get the idea. People think it's hard, people think it's expensive, and don't get me wrong, for really big data sets, for the Tesco's and what have you of this world, it can be significant. That's why I suggest things like if you're, one of the larger grocery organizations, what you might want to do is start with the ability to say, connect to your data and chat with it, because then that will open up the doors in your management when they can see meaningful, tangible benefits that were quick and easy and cost effective to deliver. You'll start getting wins and bigger and more valuable products. And and if you operate in the data space, a little bit more job security. So we live in a world now where we have orders and systems and forecasts, so we have some data that's connected. But actually, the way the market is moving, the way your competitors are moving, is actually to bring data more holistically. Let's pull data from lots of different sources together to try to get more actionable and meaningful insights. Let's become more profitable. Let's become more efficient. Let's provide a better end user experience. So I'm conscious I may have overrun, but I'm also conscious I think there's about a 5 to 10 second delay between me talking and you guys. So what I'd like to do is, if anybody's got any questions, I'm going to wait to, it's probably going to be quiet for a while because I'm a little bit, I'm about 10 seconds in time ahead of you. If you've got any questions, can you put them in the chat now? If not, I will close it down. But whilst I'm asking you guys to go and write the questions, please start that now if you have any. Something else I want to let you know is I do one-to-ones. I'm kind of, let's call me the cloud doctor. Much like booking a GP appointment, mine's aren't 5 minutes, mine is 60 minutes to 90 minutes long. They don't cost anything. I don't work in sales. I'm not on commission. I don't try to sell you anything. I just try to assist you accelerate and achieve your cloud goals. So if you're interested in a one-to-one on how I, or indeed cloud directors and organization, can help you with your data objectives, reach out to me directly or any of my colleagues, and I'd be happy to sit down and have a session with you, and we can contextualize this. Instead of a generic webinar, we can make it contextual to your business and your specific challenges. So Adam, I don't know if you're online. Have there been any questions?
Hi Leon, no questions as of yet.
Okay. All right, then I think I've given, I think I waffled long enough. I wish you all a good day, and like I say, if you need me, you want to have another conversation, please feel free to reach out. And also, I'd encourage you to look at my LinkedIn and follow me on LinkedIn. I've constantly got videos, white papers, nuggets of information that you may find valuable. Okay, take care, everyone. Have a fantastic day.